Hi everybody, it's Mark Kelly here from the Brisbane office, and
This is Justin Chu, and I am in the Melbourne office.
okay, so apart from the fact that we're demonstrating that there's actually more than two techies in the whole of Cadgroup, we're also demonstrating the fact that A360 Collaboration for Revit can work basically for anybody who's remote from each other. So we're going to do a live demonstration today. I don't know how many demonstrations of collaboration for Revit, or C4R as we call it to abbreviate it, are actually done live. I think a lot of them are sort of pre-recorded videos. It's not going to be a big file that we're using, but I think by the end of it we can at least demonstrate to people that the technology is usable and have a look at some of the advantages of it. So with no further ado, I'm just going to click through and have a look at the agenda of what we're going to be looking at today. It's not going to be a lot of PowerPoint, thankfully, as much as I love PowerPoint. We're just going to be doing as much as we can of a live demo. So to start things off, we will be looking at some points here on the screen of C4R, the technology, how it works, and I guess some of the advantages of using C4R, why you might want to consider it as part of your practice. We'll be looking at the procurement process, just a very quick overview of that, not going into too much detail, but just the logistics of getting hold of it and getting it set up. And then we'll be going straight into a live demo, setting up a collaborative project for the very first time, and then how to set that up in what's called the Team Hub, which is the space where you go in to manage all your projects, manage the online version of the project for people to look at, and have online meetings. There's some key terminologies, and it is admittedly very confusing because Autodesk has got this A360 thing running through basically everything to do with cloud services. So in an attempt to try and pick apart all this terminology, I might just hand over to Justin so he can give you a bit of a description on the different technologies.
Yeah, hi everyone. So let's jump straight into it. So A360 Drive, basically it's a centralized internet storage. So all project-related PDFs, DWGs, all the files that can be hosted on a centralized location. So its function is no different to a Google Dropbox. A360 Team brings in more functionality such as markups, revision management, and the A360 Team Hub, it is the hub, the online hub you set up as soon as you purchase A360 Team. And so that gives you more control of manage different people, how do they collaborate, and what level of access they get inside the project. And the A360 Collaboration for Revit, which is the product we're talking about today, and the acronym for it just will be just C4R, because the whole name is quite a mouthful. And so in addition to the functionality A360 Team offers, it brings in this new collaboration of Revit model inside the cloud. So it can be sort of treated as the next generation Revit server. And so Mark, can you just go to the next slide?
Sure.
Yeah. So this new technology of the cloud collaboration of Revit models, it's used to be developed under the code name called a Skyscraper, and I don't know if many of you guys heard of it. So now this product, when it's being released, the official name it's A360 C4R. So why this is a new technology, why it's superior to the old one, is because in the old Rebus server, you still requires either architect or the whole project team set up a physical server that hosts the central models. And in this cloud Revit model, which means the cloud replaces all those heavy IT infrastructure and setups, and the Revit model is collaborated through this new introduced data cache. So that pretty much functions as a buffer between your local model and the cloud-hosted central model. So in the old way of local versus central, the data only gets transmitted, the big geometry data only gets transmitted when you click the synchronize button. So now by introducing this data cache, the cache is the buffer cache is continuously and compare itself with the local cache and the cloud model. So the data transfer is more smoothed out, and that's why this is a more robust way of managing information. All right, so back to you, Mark.
Okay, so I guess the question would be, why on earth would you want to start thinking about C4R in your practice? Well, as I mentioned before, it essentially allows a theoretically unlimited number of people to collaborate and work on a Revit project anywhere in the world remotely. Now, there are some provisos there, I guess, and that would be that you'd want to have a reasonable internet connection. I've tried it with Wi-Fi. It is a bit slow with Wi-Fi. I haven't tried it with 4G tethering to my phone, but if you were stuck in a hotel room or if you're in a waiting area in an airport, you could certainly, if you were desperate, you could use that connection to synchronize to the central file if it was something that you really needed to do. But otherwise, any reasonable internet connection should be okay. Now, the thing about the C4R technology is that you save onto your local hard drive, a bit like when you're saving to Dropbox, your Dropbox folder on your hard drive. And then the technology takes care of buffering up the information onto the cloud. And as we mentioned before, it's a vectoring technology, which means it doesn't upload the entire model. It just looks at the difference between what you've done and what's in the central model. It means that you don't have those problems that used to happen across high latency connections where you would save and then suddenly the file would get corrupted. That was something I think that people got caught out with initially when they sort of tried to play around with saving across, say, a wide area network in Revit. It also, as we'll show later, is there's a lot of backups that are getting made all the time, every time somebody synchronizes. So worst case scenario, there's actually a multitude of backups that can be rolled back, that the administrator can roll back to if needs be. From an end user point of view, it's completely seamless. So, you know, as long as people are educated that they need to just go to the A360 shortcut when they open up a file, the whole idea of, you know, having to find the correct location on the network and so forth is all taken care of. So to a lot of end users, it will effectively look just pretty much like using ordinary workstat. Also, in the what's called the team hub, which gets set up when you start C4R in your office, there's a space there that can be used to store any number of different file types. They could be documents that are related to the project. You can store Revit, just ordinary Revit files, not collaboration ones, as we'll show you later on. So that can become a central point of information that people will then go to when they're actually working on the project. The other thing is that a bit like the old design review technology, in fact it's very, very similar, there's an online version of the model which gets posted, and that can be updated at any point in time, and then every time that gets done, a new version of the file gets created. And that means that non-Revit users, clients, and so forth can log in after they've been invited into the project, and they can open up that file at any moment, have a look at that particular online model. Also, all the older versions get kept on there, so you can go back and have a look at all the revisions or versions, as they're called, to see what changes have been made. Yes, so as I said, the Team Hub is the space where you control access to users to the actual project, and you can also assign different levels of privileges to people as there, different privileges to people who are in there as well. There is also a communicator, which Justin and I will show you later on, and the communicator is a place where you can go to, or it's a space that you, a device you can use to post messages or emails to people in the team. And as we'll show you later, it's also a tool that dynamically updates to show whatever activity is going on in the actual project. I'll just switch back to Justin, and he can have
Yeah.
a quick talk to you about procurement.
Yeah, so the procurement of the software is relatively straightforward. If you are already an Autodesk contract manager, you'll be well familiar with the whole workflow. So licenses are purchased as per other Autodesk software on a 12-month term. The contract manager will be the one being the first point of contact, and he will be the one purchasing the software. And an administrator on a studio level is assigned from within the Autodesk Account Center. And moderators can be assigned by an administrator to assist in uploading files and assisting users. So the rule of thumb here is if you will be the one modifying or generating content, you need to be on a paid C4R subscription. All right, next slide, Mark.
Okay.
Yeah. So the administrator then chooses a name and a URL for the team hub, and he will then purchase licenses of C4R for each team member. And all users need to have an Autodesk account. So this is something that could be new to the contract manager, because in the good old Revit, Revit Server or Revit, just basically Revit operation, the license server don't really care who's logging in and out, as long as the total amount of users do not exceed the ones that's in the license file. But with this Autodesk account, and because the operation will be then uploaded to A360, so it's sort of like A-Connects. Everyone has to first thing first go in as themselves before the communication makes any sense. So it will be a good practice for the whole office. So anyone that's going to be generating or uploading content will have their own Autodesk account. Right. So next one.
Okay. Yep. So we're just looking here at, excuse me, we'll go back. So basically, when you've got the hub up and running, you then start to invite participants. So there could be people who have a license of C4R, or they could be clients or other people that you want to be able to look at the actual online model. If anybody needs to open up a file and work on it in Revit, then they definitely need to have a license of C4R. The other thing that we've found too from Autodesk is that anybody who wants to, so for example, if you're working with an MEP consultant and they want to be able to use C4R collaboratively, they actually do have to have their own license technically. So that means that they'll have to purchase their own license to be able to collaborate on your project. But of course, once they have that license of C4R, that's essentially their passport to be able to work on any C4R project with any other company as well. So I can sort of see where it'll become fairly routine, I guess, for anybody who wants to collaborate in this space to have their own license, and in that way everybody will be able to collaborate together. Okay, so we'll actually just pop out of the pop out of this, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into Revit. And what we're looking at here is just a very, very basic model. The reason I've picked a very basic model is because in order to do this in real time, we just need to try and keep the file size down to something a bit reasonable. At the moment, the servers are not based in the Asia-Pacific region. So that means that in terms of uploading files and saving and synchronizing, the speed is nowhere near as fast as it will be when the Asia-Pacific servers come online. Autodesk uses Amazon servers. So at the moment, to upload this file, it might take, say, 5 minutes. To synchronize might take, say, 20 seconds. To do a major change to the file and synchronize might take a few minutes. Those times will be dramatically reduced. Justin in Melbourne has a faster internet connection. His save and sync times are faster again than mine. I've tried this with Wi-Fi, and I found that there is actually a slowdown in speed. So, you know, obviously if you've got a really good internet connection, that will increase the quality of your experience, so to speak. But once those servers come online, then things should start to really speed up. Okay, so when you've installed the add-on for C4R, which is, if you do a Google search and just type in download A360 Collaboration for Revit, you'll get to this page here. There's a separate executable for Revit 2015. Then when you've done that and it's put this add-on into Revit, you'll then get a slightly different Collaborate ribbon. And so if I click on Collaborate here, Revit still gives me the option of using your sort of traditional worksets file across your local area network. But in this case, obviously, we're going to use Collaborate using A360. Now, just before I do that, though, what I'm going to do is I've already logged into A360 here, and you'll see that when you initially log in, it logs you in what's called My Hub, and you have different team hubs, and I've been invited to several team hubs. If I click on this avatar up the top with this very fine-looking gentleman, you'll see that here's my hub, but then I've got a number of other hubs that I've been invited into. This one here is the one that we've set up for Cadgroup. As we mentioned earlier, you nominate the name for that URL. You can see it's got cadgroup.autodesk360.com. And what I'm going to do is I'm an administrator here, so I'm just going to click on Create Project. I'm going to call this webinar. Oh, I think I could spell. Okay, so, and then we just pick a really nice little icon. We could upload one of our own, and we'll create that project. Now, that's now given me a space to load that up into. So I'll just minimize that and go back here. I'll click on Collaborate using A360. And then I select the appropriate project, I should say. And that would be webinar project.
You can see it's almost real time here.
We'll initiate. Okay. Now, that will take a little bit of time. As I said, it's a fairly straightforward model, but the process is probably not as fast, or nowhere near as fast as it's going to be in the long run. But what we've got here is the space. Now, eventually, this will pop up and show the project. So what we're going to do, well, first of all, before we do anything, I just want to show you something here. It says Upload, and it says File. And if I click on that, that gives me an opportunity to load up a Revit file. That's a bit of a trap for young players. If you do load up a file that way, just be aware that's not a collaboration file. It's just a standalone file. Useful to bring up files, though, that you've been sent by other consultants, perhaps, who are not giving you a live file, and you're just linking to that. You can also upload PDF documents and all sorts of stuff from here as well. What we need to do, though, is invite users. So I'm going to invite Justin, and I'll click Send. Now, in the background there, Justin's going to get an email.
Yep. So you have already sent an invite? Yeah.
Yes.
All right. I just got an email notification here, so that takes 10 seconds. So what I'm going to do is I am going to log into my own A360 account. And so as soon as I'm in the interface, and I'll notice there's a little orange bell here, and that is the web interface notification. So I click on an orange bell. It says Mark Kelly invited me to webinar project. So I just click on accept. And then my name on Mark's side will be popping up fairly soon.
So when you're using the Team Hub, you just got to be conscious of these little notification things, because they are quite important to see what activity is going on. If you've been invited to something, you need to keep an eye on that to make sure that you respond back to it. So we've got Justin here. Now, I could remove him from the project, but what we're actually going to do is just go Manage. Now, at the moment, he's showing as a project member, which means that he really has no rights. He can only open the file in Revit and use it, use work sets in the file to make changes to it. If I did make him admin, beg your pardon, go back. So I've made him admin, and he'll get another notification which will pop up, which will say that he's been given different rights.
Yeah, let me do a refresh here. Yeah, I already got that. So this one is really just tell me I am not being nominated as the moderator. So I think being a moderator, it gives you the right to actually kick members out of the team per se. And so it's more like a management side of managing different team members.
So you can see that's still uploading. So that, I mean, this is part of the reason why we chose to use a smaller file, because any demonstration that shows the file from an Australian end that uploads within a few seconds, maybe not necessarily a live.
Yeah. Now the thing is, like from what we discovered, it takes the most overhead of time happens when you do everything the first time. First time upload or first time opening it up in Revit. That is when this whole process is gonna take you the longest, because the whole Revit cloud model is trying to establish the data, establish different levels of cache. So then all those things are happening behind the scenes. You don't get to see it. All you see it's just this window stays as it is. Actually, it's a lot of calculation and communication done when this window is staying still.
Okay.
All right. It seems like it's happening. Something's happening. That's good.
Done something. Woo!
Didn't let us down.
I'm excited. You excited? We're all excited. All right, we're almost there. Okay, so we go back to 360 here, I guess, and there you go. Congratulations, it's all done.
Yeah.
And if we just do a refresh, I guess that's the way to get it up and running. Okay.
There you go.
So we've got the test, the test project running here. There's a lot of duplication in some of the icons here. So for example, I've got the share icon, which allows me to email people with a link to the project. If you wanted it to be totally public, you could actually embed that link and, I guess, use that on a web post, for example. You can also set a password just to stop anybody who just happens to randomly get into that space from being able to go in there. But so that's that. Now, if we go back to the Revit side of things, what we've got here is this little button here that says Manage A360 Models. So this is the project here that we're working in currently. There's not going to be any activity at the moment, but one of the things that we can do as a model manager or BIM manager is go to View Versions, and every time that there's a synchronize that goes on, we can go back and roll back to that particular version. So what I'll get Justin do in the background is, in his version of Revit, if he can just open up the model.
Yep. Yeah. So do you want to
do a very
switch?
Quick? Yeah. We'll do a very quick demonstration of that.
Okay.
That process.
Cool. Yeah.
Okay. So we're now at Justin's screen.
Yeah, cool. All right, so first thing first, before we do anything else, I think this is the scenario when you start your day. If you're going to be working on a cloud collaborated Revit model, the first thing you should be doing in the morning is check you have logged into Revit with your own credentials. Because that, again, it's sort of like a connect. Who you logging as dictates what sort of things you'll be looking at in this cloud environment. So then pretty much after that, it's all business as usual. So you click on open. And so now we find out as soon as we install the Collaborate C4 add-in, this is a brand new icon. So this basically is telling us Revit sees the cloud path no different than a path on the server or path on the local computer. And so this is the benefit of that is you don't have to relink model every time you download it, or when you get another model transmitted by the contractor, you don't have to put everything back together, because usually that can be a very time-consuming process. Then the other thing is here, as soon as we get into this webinar project folder, as soon as we click on this, a seasoned Revit user will find out what's happening here. There's no such thing as create new local anymore. So that really goes back to the second slide we talked about. It's because Revit has introduced this data cache, and so Revit does not want users to, to manage this local or central relationship anymore. So as an end user, you see on your side, it's really just you click on it, you open it, and it's nothing. You don't have to worry about if you're in the local or the central anymore. So that's something that's good when you let the cloud to manage your central model. And then another thing, and I think Hodger asked the question, is what if the model become corrupted? So Mark was just showing, because every time any user synchronizes, it creates like a restore point. So it's kind of like the time capsule. So if you find out the model is corrupted, you can always roll it back, and because the users synchronize it all the time. So yeah, actually give you the option to roll back at 15-minute increments, if that is how often everyone synchronizes. So here, I am looking at this project in Revit. And so let's see, if I click on, so Mark, do you want to at least take
so
work set?
If you click on that roof, you'll see in the properties, I'll just get you to click on the roof, Justin, yep. So you see there it says work set 1, okay, and what I'm going to do at my end is I'm actually going to take control of work set 1, and I'm going to become the owner. I'll just get you to unselect that, Justin, and try it again,
yep.
See if that updates. You can just select it.
Yeah. So you just take ownership of that work set. So if everyone look at property palette there, so that has Mark's name in it. So which means he actually just taken the work set, and this is the work set management. It's real time. And so next thing I'm going to do is I will try to get ownership of this roof. So I click on that. Of course, the good old Revit warning popped up saying cannot edit the element. So let me place a request. All right. So Mark, have you seen anything on your screen?
Yeah, I'll just switch back to my screen now, just to show you. So what I've got now is this editing request. Also, though, in the communicator here, you'll see that there's actually multiple projects. But if I switch to the actual, whatever it is, I can't see it now. I've lost it. So if I switch to the appropriate project, you can see that you've got the list of all the different activities. Here is it. Okay. So now the interesting thing was back on Justin's computer, you'll note that his properties palette updated basically within seconds of me taking ownership of those work sets, which is interesting because I didn't do any synchronizing. So that's quite an interesting feature. But what I'll do is I'll talk no more, and I'll grant permissions back to Justin, and then I'll swap back to him.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right, cool.
I think you guys understand the concept of work sets, but it's interesting though that it's all happening pretty much in real time.
Yeah. So here, if I click on my work sets, you'll see the work set 1, the owner is Mark, and I am borrowing it. So still, the communication of ownership is happening in real time, although this is a cloud project. And so the next thing is, and I want to just touch on this communicator. Let's see here, Aaron's looking at this. So we are very familiar with this thing called work share monitor. So that part of the functionality is actually integrated into this communicator. So every time when a team member synchronizes save to central or send a message, anything to do with the model operation, it will actually, the list of activities will pop up here. Yeah, so here it's So this is useful when you have like quite a big team and different users have to keep communicating all the time to facilitate this model process. All right, so the next thing is, let me do a slide modification here. So I have just changed this into a tile roof. So what I'm going to do is like I'm going to synchronize and see how long that will take me. So click OK here. Yeah. So Mark, do you want to show your screen how quickly this change will be sent to you? So just keep in mind that I am in Melbourne and Mark is in Brisbane. So we are actually collaborating through a fair distance.
So I'm just thinking now. This is actually going to be slower at my end again, as I mentioned before, simply because my internet connection, the upload speed is not quite as fast as Justin's.
Yeah, from what we find out, it's as long as it's not massive geometry change, that the synchronize is usually between 30 seconds to 1 minute. So it's not too much different from like collaborating on the server.
Okay, now I'm just going to switch back to the space that we created before in the Team Hub, and I just want to click on the Revit model itself. This is what I was talking before about how there's the ability for people in the team or even outside people like the client to actually look at the project using an online version of the model. This is very, very much like design review. You've got a lot of the same sort of tools that you can use to pull apart the model and have a look at it. You've got your first-person view and all sorts of stuff where you can use your keys to move around the model. But you'll note too, though, that it says version 1. That's the one that when I first upload the file, whatever views are created in the project, they're the ones that sort of get uploaded with the actual project. But what I'm going to do here is just going to make a few changes here. And throw a few views on the sheet. I might also make another 3D view. And rename that. So very, very high level stuff here, as you can see. Okay, so if we go to the Collaborate ribbon, and we've got views for A360, what I'm going to do is make a new view set. This is 22nd today, isn't it? Okay, and then I'll just select all of these particular views. So that should include the new one, and it should include the changes to the sheet that I created. So I'll save and close. Next thing I need to do is actually synchronize the central, because I'll just give you an example of what I mean here. If I go into this space here and have a look at webinar project, which is the one we're working on, obviously, and I go here.
Because we're already synchronized.
Yeah, so I just need to publish the latest version. Sometimes that actually shows that it is up to date. If that's the case, and it shows a little green tick, then you just need to go back and go synchronize with Central. But it has picked up that there is a change. So I'll do this. And again, this process can sometimes take a little bit of time. I'll just exit out of that one. And in the meantime, we'll go back to the A360 space. As soon as that's up to date, then updated, I should say, then it will pop up and say V2. In the meantime, though, what we'll do is Justin and I will just demonstrate this whole concept of creating comments. I'll just switch back to Justin, and he can just run through making
Sorry,
comments.
I'm just answering questions. So what I'm supposed to do now?
Sorry. Oh,
Yeah, sorry, I was just answering
no.
questions. Yeah, so
All
what
right.
I'm supposed to do now?
Okay, so just go to the A360 hub.
Ah, yeah.
In Chrome.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
Yeah, so, all
Okay.
right, cool.
All right, and then we'll go into the project.
Yeah.
And then double click on the model.
So here, so here, like the list of projects I can see, it's actually the list of projects I am invited to. And so first thing here, click on the webinar project. And as soon as I click on the model, and it will take me to the web interface of this model. So that will be useful, for example, if you have a client interested in the look of the building, but he doesn't actually know how to use Revit. So this is a more user-friendly way of sending him the information.
Okay,
so here,
also in the meantime too, Justin, whilst we were doing that deliberate stalling tactic, you'll note that the actual version has updated now. So you're actually looking at V2, which is the one that I uploaded, and you'll note that you can also switch back to version 1. So those versions are all kept, and all the comments relating to each version are all kept as well as a sort of a log, and that gives you sort of a comparison tool to go back and look at changes that have been made. So I'll just get you to start creating some markups
comments.
There, comments.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So here, and this is the sort of like the project browser, if you may. So you have the views here and the sheets here, and as a content publisher, the architect, you can control exactly what views and sheets that gets published. So here, let me just go to the sheet here. Yep, I click on that. So, okay. Mark, you need to publish that again.
All right. Okay. Didn't pick it up.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Because I think what happened.
Synchronize with Central. Yeah.
So this is a good lesson. It's if you want to publish the most up-to-date content, always do a synchronize before you publish. So it's no difference from you make everyone synchronize to the central, then you publish that central model to Aconex. Then that's gonna capture all the late changes. So before that, that's all right. I'm just gonna keep doing my thing here. So so here you have this comment and markup too. So I think that is something that's be quite useful. So you can actually mark it up and just use the pen here saying, and you can put a text on it saying, where are the views?
Because that was a deliberate mistake, of course.
That's a pretty legit comment.
Yeah. That was all done deliberately, of course, just to demonstrate the need to save synchronize to central. All of our mistakes are totally deliberate. There's nothing unplanned whatsoever in this demonstration.
Yeah. And the other thing is that the comments remember themselves in regards to revisions, right? Because some comments that's based on revision 1 or V1 as A360 called it, that could be already fixed in V2. So the comments sort of like a revision clouds. They remember which revision they attach themselves into.
Interesting, V3 is already updated. So if you just want to switch to V3, oh, no, just hit refresh on your screen there, sorry.
Yeah. I just get into this again.
Yeah, so V3 is already uploaded. There you go. It didn't take long at all that time.
So then I can make a comment. So preparing for viewing. Okay, cool. So it's fairly fast. It's fairly fast, almost real time. So let's just wait.
It's just like us, Justin, almost real time. So it does take a while to refresh some of the views. I think it starts with the 3D views first, and then it works its way through the sheets, I've noticed.
Yeah, because by publishing, you're only uploading. So when the content is there, the website was still, A360 was still have to go some machine hours to set all those things up. So here, let's do another one. So very good.
Excellent. Okay, so of course you can respond back to any posts that get made, and the administrator can then, I guess, remove posts as well if needs be. So that's the comment and markup tool. There's also the ability to do a real-time live review. Now, the live review tool, personally, I think that it's probably not. It needs a little bit of loving, a little bit of finesse, but it does have the potential to be able to create a live space that allows you to demonstrate the model and move around it in real time. So I'll click on live review. What I'm going to do is it's opening up another tab in Chrome for me at my end, which you can't see obviously. Yep. And then it will create a hyperlink. So this hyperlink
so this will be
email to Justin, yeah?
Yeah, so this will be useful if, for example, you're doing project collaboration review, and unfortunately the people you are trying to meet with cannot be in your office, or they are tied up in another location. So this will be, you can do the project coordination review at different locations using this tool. So, yeah. So
okay, just waiting for
Mark's just gonna send me an email. So this is exactly the workflow you go through. You guys agree on a given set of time, and you send him the live link, and you guys will be looking at the same thing on different computers at different physical locations. So, all right, cool. So let's see.
Hasn't come through yet. My Outlook is just laboring here to start up.
Real time. Everybody remember,
no,
this is
almost real time. Almost real time. Okay, that's interesting. I might just kill it and start again.
Is there anything with the Outlook?
It might just be some sort of, sometimes the add-ons get a bit hung up. Let's see, I'm just wondering if I can...
Yeah, so meanwhile, let's just talk something. So on the sheet, you can do a measurement as well. So you can do
that 3D measurement pop-up that just came up then too, interestingly, is a brand new thing that just popped up over the weekend. So, well, I haven't seen it before. So what's happening with all of this stuff is that it's an evolving technology. It's happening pretty much instantaneously.
Yeah.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to send a message to Justin because my Outlook Express is not working.
Okay, so use the communicator.
Outlook. I'm going to use the communicator to send you the link rather than relying on Outlook, which has decided that it's going to stop working. So if you click on that hyperlink.
Okay, so let's see. So if I click on that, so that is gonna take me to so this already take me to a new tab in Chrome. So I'll type in my name and click join. Hopefully everything will be working.
Well, everything's gone seamlessly so far, so I don't know why it wouldn't.
Only Microsoft had dropped the ball so far.
There you go, doing really well. Okay, so this is the space now as I move around in my end of things.
Yeah, so I am not clicking at the moment. It's all these screen motions are generated from Mark's end.
It's actually pretty good because it's coming from Brisbane to
Melbourne.
Go to webinar, and so I'm seeing it pretty much a split second after I do it at my end. And it's got to go through not just the C4R servers, but it also has to go through GoToWebinar as well. So it's actually pretty decent, a pretty decent sort of response time. But as I said, this tool's I think it's a bit clumsy at the moment. There's only some things you can do, and in fact, you can't really record any comments or anything. So I think there's a bit of finessing that's got to go on with this particular tool. But anyway, it is something to keep an eye on in terms of.
I mean, when you're actually doing project meetings, you're gonna do the meeting minutes on the side anyways. So this is just like a really good 3D graphic interface. It's the best way to showcase the project at the current stage. Yeah.
I think it is a technology that has existed
Underdeveloped.
other spaces. Sorry, what was that?
And it's a technology still getting rapidly developed.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that, unless Justin's got anything else that I haven't thought of, I think that pretty much wraps up the demonstration. As I said, it was a very, very simple model. We tried to keep it simple just so we could do it in real time rather than just showing you a series of videos. And hopefully that's given you an insight into what the capabilities are, and I guess a little bit of an idea of what's in the future as well. We do have customers that are actually using it. I think they're still mostly testing it though, and I think the feedback they've given is that with good internet connections, it is usable at this point in time. I'd suggest that the only thing that's holding it back maybe from people sort of jumping on it completely is perhaps the fact that the servers are still out in the APAC region. But if anybody has any questions, could you please send them through? Okay, so we've got a few people popping up questions.
Yep, actually I'm looking at them. So so you're gonna unmute everybody?
Better, well, no, I think it might be a cacophony, so it's probably best if we just keep the audio muted. But Holger has asked here. He's saying, can it be linked to an existing subscription contract? How much would it be to get a license of A360 C4R? Well, someone did actually ask that question before. In terms of pricing, Justin and I sort of, because we're techies, really don't like to get our hands dirty talking about that side of things. I believe it's something like, this is a very approximate figure that I've heard kicked around, $1,200 plus GST per year, but that's really something.
That's per user.
Per user, yeah. So you really want to talk to your contract manager.
Yeah.
When Australian servers open up, I've been asking this of the guys at Autodesk Australia, and they've just come back and said, yeah, well, we'd love to know as well because the US isn't telling us. It could be that it will just suddenly come online tomorrow, but we just don't have any information, unfortunately, which is a real pain.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so time delays with a 400 meg file. Justin, have you had any feedback there about larger files?
Yeah, I think with larger files, of course, it's going to be significantly slower the first time you upload it, and if the first time you create a cache on your local machine. But as soon as you're not doing any heavy modeling, but unfortunately, a lot of us will be doing that. But if it's only like, for example, changing nodes, tagging doors, tagging windows, putting 2D families, that actually the synchronizing is rather fast. So it's only become time consuming when you're creating massive range of geometries, for example, a new facade. And that is gonna significantly increase your synchronized time, but just for the first time. As soon as that model, not a model, the geometry is living in the cloud, so synchronizing will be a lot shorter after that. And also there's questions about Rebus Server and the C4R. So basically, they can exist parallel in the same office. It's if the project's already set up on using the Rebus Server technology, it's fine as it is. And the benefit of a collaboration for Revit, this cloud technology, is it does not require to purchase any new IT equipment, IT infrastructure, or go through the whole IT protocols. So basically, it's just a service. You pay for it, and you can use it.
Yeah, now Matthew has mentioned there about the cost of it, and so that $1,200, just obviously you'll want to double check with your account manager, Cadgroup account manager, to to make sure that that figure is correct. But yes, that is per user. It is a reasonable sum of money. I don't discount that at all. So look, this solution is not necessarily going to be for everyone. But I guess if people feel that moving into this space is going to give them some sort of advantage, especially larger international firms that have people collaborating across the globe, I can see that you could obviously make a business case for that. But I'm not going to pretend to say that this is going to be a very cheap technology to implement in every office, and that it's a solution for everybody. That wasn't a very good sales pitch, was it? That's why I'm not in sales.
I think the major benefits we can look at this way. It opens two doors. The first one is for the really big firms. If they want to do collaboration with overseas architects, they can use this technology. And then the second one is for medium-sized architects. They can actually use this technology to go in as joint venture and being able to pitch against the bigger brothers. I think that is basically the opportunity this technology is bringing.
Excellent. Yeah, no, it's, also Danjit has asked the question about whether we're actually doing any demonstrations of the technology, and we are. There is a limited number of places that we've got where people can, for a period of time, we'll give them a login, which they can then use to evaluate the technology. So best to talk to your BDM, your Cadgroup account manager, just to inquire about the logistics of that. We've had quite a big sort of response to that one, so there is a bit of a waiting list, but certainly worth having a chat to your BDM. How do links work with C4R? Well, Justin, you might want to correct me on this one, but I believe that essentially you upload all the link models up into the Team Hub, and then
so,
when you want to link, very good.
So my discovery on that, it's all the models, if you want a model to be visible by Revit inside A360, that all has to go through exact the same process me and Mark been through. So you click Collaborate, and then that model will be assigned an A360 path. And that is just universal through all the users in this project. So if you want to link a model into the current model, that linked model has to be a cloud Revit model as well. So if you just drop a model into A360, that is only visible to the web interface, but that is blind to Revit. So if you want a link model, you have to make a cloud Revit model. That's it.
Okay, now Holger, you did mention about using C4R and Rebus Server. I think that was, hopefully Justin answered that question before. Okay, David, is there a limit to the number of models you can upload? That's a very good question. I'm not sure what the practical limitation is, if any, on the actual space that you're allocated. None of the literature that I've read talks about any limitations with regards to the actual. There you go. So,
so that depends on
the A360 storage limit. There you go.
Yeah, so I think you have several gigabytes, I think 10 to 20, I forgot the actual figure per user. So if you have 10 people, 10 subscribed users in your office, you will get hundreds of gigabytes, and hopefully that will be able to satisfy your project needs.
Okay, is this faster than a VPN central model setup? That's from Patrick. Justin, what are your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, so like what we explained before is that the benefit of this technology is there's no big ebbs and flows of data. In the older technology, you click synchronize, it's a huge amount of data getting transmitted over the internet. So I actually worked on projects that set up like this before. And when I click on synchronize, the team over there in Sydney has to all drop whatever they're doing because their screen just become a spinning circle. So that is the VPN central model setup. I think is that by what you mean, or is that mean that did you mean Rebus Server? So this one, the benefit of that is the data transfer is actually getting smoothed out by this data cache. So there's no big ebbs and loads of data anymore. So it's just constantly there'll be like a low volume constant data transmission. Yeah. So I hope that answers it. Yeah. And what are the security systems on A360? And would you suggest this is a viable solution for confidential projects? So how Autodesk addressed that, it's this team hub thing. So team hub functions as security points. So for example, if in your office you have, let's say, a government project, for example, defense project, that can only be visible for the specific group of people who works on that project. So the solution for that is that project needs to be created inside its own team hub because the data doesn't get transmitted between hubs. So you just need to set up a new team hub and all the security data and needs to be hosted inside a team hub. So that project will be completely blind for anyone who doesn't have the security and clearance to access that project. So that's that.
All right, now Daniel again's mentioned something about linking files there. So I think the scenario would be that you've got all the different services files and the architectural file loaded up into C4R, and you're talking about having to relink all the files. Okay, again, Justin, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I believe that the person responsible for each one of those project files will have to go in to the project file and link the, say for example you're in the hydraulic file, you would open that one from your end and then link in the architectural, structural, and MEP files from there and then save that. So it is a manual process, but that's pretty much the same process that would have to be done if you'd received the file through some other means and you needed to link another consultant's file into your model. The thing is, though, that essentially all the linking, the pathing is all taken care of. So once it's up there on C4R, it's pretty much a static link to the other project.
All right, next question from Hodja. If we set this up for a project and later we have finished design stage, leaving the project, what happens to the rest of the team? Do they have to set everything up again on C4R? Okay, I think this is actually a very good question. So for example, if the architect is only contracted to do, for example, conceptual to 30% DD, yeah, that actually can become a problem. But then the thing about how AConnect is going to deal with this situation. It's if the architect actually work on the conceptual phase and if they exit the project, I think there should be some arrangement to hand over the data to the next delivery architect to work on this project. Yeah, so that is actually a very good question. I don't have the solution for it yet, but yeah, I think
no,
it's
that's
a
good
valid question.
But I think it's, like any other technology, there's certain things that pop up as new issues that didn't exist before, and then there's other things that really are old issues that have existed in previous technologies that just sort of look like new problems. But as Justin said, I think it's really just a question of working out a contractual arrangement so that there's some sort of actual handover of that, whether it be to the client, for example, at the end of the project. But yeah, no, that's an interesting question.
I think like even now, you look at the way architectural firms operate today, it's even when this handover happens, it's usually just thousands of drawings and a bunch of models. And that's what it is. And none of that is hard to get back into the C4R using what we just did. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Okay, well, I think everybody's I think we've addressed all the questions. I'm just looking through the list here of what people have asked. So I'd like to thank everybody for their time, and I hope that this has been instructive for everybody. It's been a bit of a learning curve for Justin and I over the last few weeks, just, I guess, looking at the ins and outs of the technology and realizing what it can do. As I said, it is sort of a work in progress to some degree. Autodesk will be responding to people's feedback inside the C4R space, and they will be continually adding features and I guess, tweaking features that exist. But thanks everybody for the time. This will be getting uploaded onto YouTube, onto the Cadgroup channel. So if anybody wasn't able to listen to the whole thing, or they want to listen to Justin and my scintillating voices again, then they're certainly welcome to have a look at that up on the YouTube channel.